Welcome back to Mind Your Abundance podcast. I'm your host Ruby, and today we are talking about how can we resist guilt and shame that could help you change everything. Okay, should we get started? Let's go. I want you to ask yourself generally when you feel shame, what's your first body reaction? Not your mind, just body. When we feel shame, if you notice and seen bunch of the image, we generally shrink in ourselves. Literally, our body is like smaller, and then we don't want to be seen. Also, guilt. When there's guilt coming, a lot of time our body language is looking down, and then we want to be smaller, and we don't want everyone to know we feel that. And we're literally shrinking our body and our energy to be small and tense, and then they keeping in our inside partial our organ, and it's not just once, and sometimes like a stack over energy combined, and that could be getting bigger and bigger until you have some events trigger you that much, and then all of a sudden that part of your body going to start have a pain, and your emotion going to be super high. It's like a pressure cooker, and then you're going to be explode because you haven't able to get a chance to deal with all those shame and guilt emotion. If you ever experience that, this is episode for you. Okay? Okay? I want to talk about my personal experience. If you don't know me, I grew up in a traditional Asian culture, and my parents, whenever we grown up to start working, we are supposed to contribute the house, so expense. And we still live there, so it's normal, right? I'm not sure it's normal in Western country or not, but it's normal in Asian culture. And we also have a really weird tradition. I won't say weird. To me, it was super normal before, but and then toward the end, I feel like that's kind of odd. Every single holiday and personal birthday, going to hospital, moving, wedding, particularly something else, I think. In our Chen family, you're supposed to give a red envelope. Even the time when I go back to visit, I need to give a red envelope to elderly. And isn't that, when you just start saying, isn't that too much? Exactly. That's exactly how I feel. So, and can you imagine for a person just like if you are 18 or 20, graduate school, you finally start to work, make some money. When you're in college, you probably live someplace else. And then you start renting out a place. You start have your living expense. And then you start giving money for your family. And then they're still expecting you to all the holiday, particularly event, needs a red envelope, and when you give it too low, they going to say something to you. So when they get it too high, that's totally all good now. They're totally good. And when it's too low, you're going to get a lecture about it. And one time I was in US for a while, and then I finally have a chance to go back to visit my family, and I go visit my grandma. My mom said, my mom prepared a red envelope for me as my name to give it to my grandma. And I say, well, is it her birthday or something? I don't think that's it. And then she said, no, no, no. Then I asked her how much you give it to her so I can give it back to my mom. And then I say, can we just basically stop doing this because it's very tiring. Because every time we do this like back and forth, and then Asian culture. Also, there's a thing that I pretend that you don't need it. But actually, they still take it. It's like I don't know how to say it. They want the money, but they act like they don't want the money, which is very exhausting to me. And I said, can we not do this? And I also explain, I don't think I can do this quite often because when I live in US, the expense is so high, and then I saving up money to come back visit, and plane tickets also not cheap. It's usually thousand just go back to visit, and that thousand could be multiple envelope. And then she just say, this is our tradition. Okay. And then it's you're supposed to do that to the elderly. Okay, so my mom basically tried to guilt me for not give the red envelope for my grandma. And the other time is one of my sister working really hard because my dad lost his job. So she find the work and basically give the whole salary to my dad. Well, that time she's probably 18 to 20. We're about 6 years apart. And then she start her she's going I think she's getting older. She need to save some money for herself, for her future. So she talked to my dad saying, "Hey, I only can give you this much this month because I need to save some money." And my dad react said, "Well, that's not enough for the family." Getting really upset and more like, and I won't say aggressive, but the voice getting higher. Not that moment exactly. Not in that conversation exactly. I heard that after a couple years later, and he did the same thing with my second sister. And those two events remind me a time also related to my dad. My dad just lost his job, and I think he's been trying to apply some job, but he was a manager in a really big auto factory for a long time, like 15 years. So he building, his pride, expertise for that particular field. But he's about like 40 or 45 years old, and a lot of job start limiting about like particular age. They want younger. And so my mom kind of suggests him to apply security job because some of the security job accept an older range, but he refused. He said, basically not too good, not good enough for him. So in that time, my dad is the only person making the money, and so he's a bread maker. And my sister just graduated from high school after summer break before we go to college. She got a job selling accessory, which is she loves. She loved all those like accessory theme, and she loved talk to people. So it's basically a perfect beginning job for her. And then she come home very excited and telling my dad about she got a job and just basically tell my dad don't lose the hope and you will get the good news next time. Being very positive. And my dad get upset and say to her, mind your own business. They were in the kitchen. I was in the living room and I was probably 12-ish. And then I was really upset. And to looking back to all my healing journey, that memory continued to popping up for me, even though it's not invented directly to me. It's more like not really directed to me, but I felt shame in that moment. Why I felt shame in that moment is I did not stand up for my sister. I did not speak up, say, hey, you can talk to my sister that way. She did not think wrong to you. She just tried to help out the family and try to cheer up. That moment, if I could say all those things to my dad, I won't feel shame. But because I did not stand up for her for all this year, I felt regret and shame to not stand up for my sister. And this is part of the memory continue pop up for me to try to heal myself. And I'm doing multiple reframe and talking to my sister, of course, for that particular experience. And isn't that interesting? My two really deep emotions come with shame and guilt is about money. And it's quite also society don't like us to talk about money. A lot of time money come with a negative emotion. So the less we talk about, the less chance we can get make our money story and relationship getting better. Isn't that quite interesting? That's a subject for the other time, but we're definitely going to talk about that. And then so you're going to ask me, how do I refine those guilt and shame? So the first one was talking about the money for grandma. I write all the story down to my journal and talking to my coach and doing my own work multiple times. So it turned out to writing down help, definitely help. Otherwise, it was stuck in your head multiple times. And then this emotion come out, and then we do some work, reframe the work, reframe the story. So we talk about the guilt for when I give it to my grandma. But just for that event, I keep focused on, okay, I don't have enough money to give to grandma, and my mom want forcing me to give it to grandma, putting that pressure into her to that particular event. And then I forgot everything else. And then I'm pulling out is, do I already contribute every month to my parent? Answer is yes. Do I contribute some holidays for my grandma, grandpa when I start working? The answer is also yes. So why is I only focused on that particular event to make me feel guilt? And then that could lead to the other guilt memory need to address about. And let's talk about the shame. The shame is I didn't say no for my sister. And this one is actually I did write it down, and the one actually helped is I talked to my sister talking about, oh, I'm just feel like I'm hopeless during that age, and I do feel angry and angered that he can treat you that way. And my sister and I have pretty, I would say pretty close because we talk basically every single week, and we have a chat. It's basically every day. We talk about shit every time. Most of the time I talk about my plant with my sister, my second sister. We both loved growing plant, and my dog, and most at work. And my big sister had two kids now, so kids also have inside our conversation. We all three try to release our uh a lot of like resentment and anger from our inner child and do a lot of work. So we've been chatting. We are pretty open up to talking about uh, our emotion since we didn't able to address those, and we all three are into a spiritual and self-growth thing, so that definitely helped. So talking to the person you experience with also help. But what if you can't? What if you cannot do that? Then that's a part you need to write it down and then see that story and then visualize, and doing the visualization conversation in the meditation form also help. And I just want to say writing things down and writing things you want to say for that particular event help, and use visualization about have a conversation to that person also help. And let me see what I try to say. Okay. How about some journal prompt toward the end? Does that help? We'll see. If you would like to write this thing, two questions down. First one is, where is my life? Sorry, let's review. Where in my life do still feel like I need to earn love or prove my worth? Second one is, what would I do differently if I don't or didn't feel guilty or changing or choosing myself? Okay, write it down. If you would like to share with me in the Instagram, that would be great. I would love to hear. And for help you releasing guilt and shame, it's what I usually do with a client. We have a lot of inner child healing story work, and that's why I create Awaken Her, helping women to release the guilt that isn't theirs and healing the shame that never true, to reclaim the vision of themselves have been waiting for. And if you're interested to doing the work with me, this is going to be 8 weeks live coaching call, and and we're going to adjust whichever I feel our student need to probably adjust some of the curriculum. sign up right now. If you'd like to do with me, you can sign up the waitlist on my website. Website is with rubychen.com. You can see the button on the top page for put me in the priority list. That's the list you can join and get the news when the door is open. You also get some extra bonus and goodie when you sign up. So I hope you see you there. Have a good one.